Hi everyone, I'm Sharon Smith, and in this video I'm going to show you how to calculate working days in Excel using the NetWorkDays function to determine the actual number of work days between two dates. We'll exclude weekends and holidays, and we'll even look at how to exclude non-traditional weekends and partial work weeks. Plus, we'll delve into the workday function in Excel that allows us to calculate a new date based on the number of actual work days before or after a start date. Let's check it out. Here we have our example set up where we have a list of employees with some start and end dates, and we want to calculate the actual number of days work between those two dates. And we want to exclude holidays and weekends from that period of time. And so we can use that using the NetWorkDays function. And this is helpful if we have employees who accrue benefits based on the number of days they work in a period of time, or maybe we want to calculate a bonus for part-time employees based on how many days they work in a certain period. So all we have to do is select our cell where we want to place our formula. First thing we want to do is make sure, a lot of times when we enter dates into Excel, Excel recognizes them and automatically formats them as dates. But if you're not sure, go ahead and select the cells for your start and end date, right click, click on Format Cells, and just double check that these are formatted as dates and then click OK. If it's formatted as text or something else, it might throw off the formula. So we want to go ahead and select our cell where we want to place our function and type equals, and then start typing network days. And the function will come up. If you hit Tab, then it will start for you and open the parentheses. And then all you have to do is select the cell that has the start date, comma, then the cell that has the end date, and then hit a comma. And then we have an optional argument for holidays. So if you happen to have a list of holidays that you want to exclude, you can do that, whether it's on the same sheet or maybe you have it on a different tab. All you have to do is select those and then hit Function F4 or F4 to fix that range. That way we can drag the formula down and it will keep that range fixed or selected. So then we just close our parentheses and hit Enter. That gives us 62 days during this period of time of actual work days, excluding weekends and holidays. Now the weekends are automatically Saturday and Sunday. And so all we have to do is copy that formula down. Now, if for any reason our company has non-traditional weekends, so maybe it's not Saturday or Sunday, then we can use another formula that's like NetWorkDays, but it's NetWorkDays.INTL, so it's the international version, and it gives us a little more flexibility with the weekend argument. So let's go ahead and clear out our cells here. I'm just going to select them and hit Delete, and instead we're going to use the NetWorkDays.INTL. So I'm going to hit equals, and then type network days, and I'm going to select the international version here and hit Tab, and then it's the same formula or function, so all we have to do is select our start date, comma, select our end date, and then hit comma, and then the next argument that comes up is for our weekends. And this is where we can select the standard Saturday, Sunday is by default what it will automatically include or exclude those days in the function if you don't put anything for that argument. Otherwise, you can put a 1 for your Saturdays and Sundays, or you can choose any corresponding number for any of these options if you have one of these as your standard company weekends. Then just type comma, and then you have your holiday function again for your argument here, and just select your range, hit Function F4 to fix that range, close your parentheses, and hit Enter. And it will give you your standard Saturday, Sunday, weekends. It's the same as the NetWorkDays function. Now, one thing to keep in mind with the NetWorkDays function is that it does count the start date as one of the work days. So if for any reason that you don't want to count that start date as one of the work days, you would come back up into the formula and say, under the start date argument, just type +1. And that will add a day to the start date there so that it will exclude the start date in the number of days. So if you need to do that, just keep that in mind. Otherwise, that start date will be counted as one of the actual work days. Now let's say we have a partial work week and we just want to count the number of work days that are Monday, Wednesday, Friday during a certain period. We can do that using the NetWorkDays.INTL function. We just have a little bit different way of coding in the weekend. So let me just uncover some additional instructions over here real quick. All right, so for our weekend argument, we are going to, in quotes, enter a string of 7 zeros and 1s. And what it's going to look like is the excluded days are going to be 1s, and then the days that we want to count or include as actual work days will be 0s. So if we want Monday, Wednesday, Friday, this formula starts with Monday through Sunday, so we're going to put a 0 first to designate that we want to include or count Monday. So let's take a look at how this works. So if we select our cell, we're going to hit equals and then start typing network days. We're going to select the international and hit tab, and then we're going to select our start date, comma, end date, comma. Now, instead of selecting a number option here for our weekend argument, what we're going to do is type quotes, and then we're going to type our 7 strings of 0s and 1s. So we want to include Monday, so I'm going to hit 0, and then we want to exclude Tuesday, so I'll type 1. Then I want to include Wednesday, so I'll type 0, exclude Thursday for a 1, and include Friday for a 0, and then hit 1, 1 to exclude Saturday and Sunday. So I'm going to close those quotes. So that's how you would do a Monday, Wednesday, Friday for that series of numbers. And so close the quotes, hit comma, and then we have our holiday argument that we can select our holidays, and then hit function F4 or F4, depending on your keyboard, to fix that range, close your parentheses, and hit enter. And this is going to give you the number of Monday, Wednesday, Fridays during that period of time. Now let's go ahead and look at the workday function. The workday function works a little bit differently than network days in that it gives us an end date based on the actual number of work days that excludes holidays and weekends if we add or subtract that from a start date. So this can be helpful to determine invoice due dates based on project hours, or maybe an expected delivery time, or maybe it can help us determine the end of a probationary period after an employee works a certain number of days. So all we have to do is make sure that our start and end date columns, I'm going to select Control to select those. Let's right click and select Format Cells, and just make sure that those are formatted as dates and click OK. And then our working days, we want to make sure are formatted as a number. So I'm going to right click and click on Format Cells, and just make sure that those are number formatted to 0 decimal places and click OK. All right, then all we have to do is go into our cell here, type equals, and then start typing workday. Then we can hit tab to select it. Then we select our start date, comma, then our number of days worked, comma, and then we have our optional holiday argument. So if we have our holidays, we can select that range, hit function F4 or F4 to fix that range, close the parentheses, and hit enter. And that's going to give us our end date, and we can copy that formula down. Now, one key thing to note here is, if you remember with our network days, it did count the start date as an actual work day when it gave us the number of actual work days. In the case of the workday function here, it is not counting that first day. So for example, you can see that based on March 1st and 10 working days, if we were to count the first day, we would see it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. However, it returned March 15th instead of the 14th. And that's because it's not counting the first day. So if you need it to count that first day, you would come up here into the formula, select the cell, and then you would come up here, put your cursor right on the start date argument, and say -1. And then put your cursor at the end of the parentheses and hit enter. And then that would allow you to count that first day if you wanted to count that start date. So just keep that in mind depending on what you need to calculate and the way that you need to calculate it for your needs. If you found this video helpful, be sure and give it a thumbs up to like it and share it with your friends. You can subscribe to my channel and click the bell to receive a notification every time I post a new video. Be sure and visit my website, SharonSmithHR.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time.